You remember the conservative era of the 80s. You remember how extreme it got. I don't think Canada had this problem. Actually, you're in the sanctuary up there. But in the United States during the 80s, the extremity of abolishing freedoms and especially artistic freedoms went to the maximum where they're trying to implement laws. You're a part of that decade. It seems that within these last maybe 4 years, we're regressing back to that. Comedians are dealing with that now, where they're being censored or they're being banned for crossing certain boundaries of what we would call angst, rebellious, creative, outlawish art. Voivod's a part of that. Be that as it may, this record has an outlaw element to it. It has the feeling to it, but yet you're able to artistically remain in what I would say this majestic zone of evolvement, where it's of a higher intellect. That's how I interpret it. When I listen to the music, I find myself drifting into dimensions. Does that happen to you when you're writing that? And is that the purpose?
I think it's, mostly the purpose, because saying like things directly too much, like when it's too much direct, it's like, this is my opinion on something and I'm convinced of that. Sometimes it's better just to like say something that it's kind of like more open, more poetic in a sense. You know the meaning behind the words, but it's not like saying this is that, it's just like it suggests something, and then as the music flows, it's a suggestion, and then another suggestion, and then poetically it flows with the music, and I think it has more efficiency than saying, oh, this, that, this, instead, So I think, and then by doing that, I think you can create your own story, instead of trying to, because sometimes people understand, like a lyric sheet, let's say, they will make their own story because it's not like a story by itself. It's not like a direct thing. It goes like, okay, that phrase, another phrase, but it's not like really linked together in a sense that it is in a way, but it has the space in between the lines so you can go and make your own thinking. And so for some people it will mean that, and maybe some other people will think about something else for the same lyric sheet. So I prefer to be not too much pointing stuff. It's more like, okay, this is a picture, but you can put it backwards if you want, and it's going to be another picture. And so,
it reminds me of the famous painter Pollock.
Yeah.
And then the audience would interpret what they would see.
Yeah, exactly. And if I turn it upside down, you'll see something different. So
it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective is very important in art. You see a sculpture and you see it from another angle, and it's different.
Yeah.
So it's the same with music, I think. Yeah, totally.
This question is for both of you, especially since we're discussing the wake. How have you been able, you answered part of it already because the friendship, the bond, the unity, but how have you been able to still keep creatively innovative in this new realm of creativity that you're going to, the subject matter, without being mundane and repetitive? You've achieved that very, very well. How is that possible?
Well, I think we just go with the flow naturally. We don't want, we never sat and say, oh, we're going to do this or do that. We're kind of like somebody brings something, or could be like, those soundtrack, the old movie soundtrack or whatever that sounded like this or that. And then, maybe, we can take be inspired by that, but doing something completely different. And so when someone brings up an idea, like he said earlier, it's not my idea. It's the idea that I put there, but from that point on, it can go everywhere, you know. And we work for the song. We don't work as for personal achievement. It's not our personal achievement, you know. It's all put together, and we all work for the best for the song. If the best for the song is to say that note that goes with his whatever what he's doing, well, okay, then I'll do, and that would be it, because it fits the song and it's perfect, and it's perfect for us in a sense. But I mean, it's not an ego trip, you know. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then you guys, you know, because there's no I, it's us, you know, and I think that's the way it goes. As for putting the ideas together, and sometimes he's gonna bring a riff, and like that song, "Obsolete Beings," he came to the rehearsal place. He's like, "Hey, I had an idea last night," and then boom, I had the melody that fits right there. It's like he said, "Stop, let's record this. Fuck, this is genius." And fucking, you know, he was like panicking because he thought that I would forget about it and say, you know. So immediately we recorded it, and it was instant inspiration. As
Spontaneity is very, very important. Snake has this talent of finding his way through the chaos. He's like, we're playing some pretty complex chords, you know, like, but he's always been in that context, but he's like hitting the right notes, even though the chords, the harmony are complex and everything. He's gonna find his way to put this beautiful and simple enough melody that so everybody can remember it right away. He's really good at hooks, and yeah, that moment was kind of magical. It was like, and I used the same melody for starting my solo in the song, because there was nothing else I could say, because it's the perfect phrase right there, musical phrase that fit to the music.
But I've learned a lot from Piggy, for that matter, because Piggy had always had this complex tones and structures, and you know, when I started doing Voivod, I had no experience at singing at all. So
He's a very mature musician, would you?
Yeah, and so I jump into the wagon, and oh, what am I gonna do? I don't know. And then, but I've learned to go with the flow with this crazy music, and I kind of like make my own style out of it, you know, sort of. And
you guys always been looking for new things.
Yeah.
And there's no Voivod album that sounds the same, or the approach is always different, and Angel Rat is very different from Roar.